Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Three of Arrows and Jealousy. And we have not seen this card in a very long time. That was my first thought when it popped up on for today. And to give you some perspective, it was the second card from the bottom because I just continue to stack cards on top. So what this is telling me is that there's a time right now where people are jealous or envious of you. Okay, with everything that's been going on this week, with the new thought processes, we've got 4 out of the 7 cards being arrows. So that's logic, reasoning, thinking, communication. Okay, that people are seeing a change in you. People are seeing how you react. And I had a teacher a long time ago tell me that, jealousy is really people putting blessings upon you. All right. And I've always, since she said that, I've always taken it into context. And sure enough, I would have to say 9.5 times out of 10, when people start talking about, different things and, the rumors and the gossip come back to you, you get blessed. You get blessed by that action that, that they're doing. So, a couple of things about this card. In most tarot decks, this is about heartbreak. And when you think about heartbreak, usually that's as a result of jealousy going on, right? Somebody wants, to be, on a greener side, right? And they just look at it and say, you know what, I'd rather be over there than over here, which gives you that heartbreak. But the 3 arrows, piercing that heart, that wood heart, tells me that, we are strong like the tree. All right. The heart's made out of wood. Okay. And it's, it's directed. Okay, just as we had that 10 of arrows yesterday in instruction, okay, that person's aiming her bow at this heart. That's their target. Okay, not understanding the metaphorical sense of it, that could be somebody's heart that they're actually aiming at, right, to create that heartbreak. Okay, and I'm not saying that, instruction leads to heartbreak. What I'm saying is, yesterday we were instructing somebody on how to shoot at a target, all right, whether you're the student or the teacher. And when you can do something like that, when you can instruct somebody to move forward, people get jealous of that, and other people start shooting at that same target. Okay, the other thing that I like about this card is the heart's on fire. Okay, so that's telling me there's a lot of passion here. Okay, and it's really, that heart-shaped piece of wood has got the passion, it's got the creativity of moving forward. And like we see in a lot of the arrows cards, okay, you have to have a bow to shoot an arrow. So that fire and that air energy goes together. So I'm not surprised to see that, but with a passion that's burning hot, and somebody puts those arrows into it, there's going to be some discomfort. There's going to be some people are shooting into that jealous and envious action, which they're putting blessings on you. And as I said with the blessings, something better is going to come along, right? It's going to take some time to heal, get through that 7 of vessels that morning. If this is a relationship or a job or your favorite vehicle or whatever, it's going to take some time to get over that heartbreak. There's going to be some grieving going along with it. And, the other thing that's very noticeable on this card is the droplets of blood. Okay. Which means, that heart is living, that heart is alive, that thought process, that passion, it's alive. There's nothing dead about it. Okay, this is something that is active. Okay, now there's a couple other symbolisms in this card. One is the tree, which is made of wood. All right, and there's not really a, think about all the elements, okay? The tree survives on air. The tree survives on water through its roots, okay? The tree is grounded, which gives you that stability, all right? And the tree is also used, as fuel. Okay, so you've got all 4 elements with this tree holding this heart that the arrow's piercing. So, when people are jealous or envious of you, they're going to look at all the aspects, just not the thought process, okay? Oh, so-and-so, they may not think out loud or internally, but subconsciously, they're looking at it going, so-and-so's well-grounded. They communicate so well. All right, they always have a passion for what they're doing. Okay, and they rarely, they're grounded in their emotions. Okay, it always seems like they have that water of life. And as they're thinking about that, that's where the jealousy comes from, because they see where you are and where they want to be. I'm not saying that they're putting you on a pedestal, okay? But at the same time, they're looking at it saying, I want what he has. I want what she has. And here's the other side of the coin. They may want that all they want. They may be jealous of it and envious of it, but they don't know your circumstances. You may appear that you're debt-free when you're not. You may appear that you have that great relationship, which maybe you don't. You may appear that you enjoy your job, but that may not be true either. So they're not seeing the other side of it. And when that jealousy and that envy takes over, they don't want to see that. They're going to do whatever they can to get to where you are. And that could be on your spiritual walk too. People see your demeanor as being peaceful and serene. They're going to try to disrupt that because they don't want that in other people's lives. They want people to be miserable just like they are, right? And then, for the most part, I grew up in an environment like that. Everybody that I worked with was miserable in the work situation. And only when I became free of that situation and was doing things that were more in my skill set did people see me for who I was, okay? So, again, they don't see the other side of it. And as a result of them, putting that jealousy and envy on you, you become greatly blessed, all right, through spirit, through the universe, through sitting out here on this beautiful day, looking at the river, looking at the reeds bending in the wind, listening to the birds. There are people out there that don't have that opportunity. They don't take nature for what it is. And then they, it's not that they're neither jealous or envious. It's just, hey, I'd love to have a beautiful park in my backyard. That's the jealousy piece of it that comes out, right? So, with this card, if you are being blessed, that's great because somebody's jealous of you, right? Somebody's envious of you. The other piece of this is when this comes up for you, don't drop into that low vibration energy of jealousy, because that's what this is. That emotion is not serving you well, right? That emotion is actually hurting you with the arrows into your heart, okay? That emotion is bringing down that passion that you have for whatever it is. And at the same time, you have to, be humble and forgiving of it and just say, you know what? This is a situation that I have to deal with. I'm not going to get jealous of it. What can I learn from this? How can I move forward? All right. I don't want to, have to feel like I'm entitled to have grass that is greener, right? Or have an opportunity, that's better, because I don't know what's on the other side. Yes, it can be scary, but at the same time, maybe you don't want that responsibility, right? So be humble when you have these opportunities of jealousy and envy, cross your path, and just say, you know what? I don't let this energy serve me. I'm going to do whatever I can to not have that thought process on my spiritual walk. because I want everything to be serene and peaceful, right? And I can forgive. I can focus on what needs to happen to remain in that positive energy, to remain in that high vibration. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck. 3 of Arrows and Jealousy. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, give me a thumbs up. This is D for Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and stay safe.